Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Peter. Please consider subscribing to the channel and also liking the video. This helps YouTube to know that this video is useful and also show it to more people. Today, we are going to finish off our application. We've been able to build the server, the client. Today, we are going to move to deployment. So I'm going to put a link to the different section that we have passed through before we got to this part. So in the first video, we set up our project using TypeScript, ESLint, and Predia. In the second video, we built the server. And in the third video, we built a client for our server. So there will be links to each of them in the video description and in the top right corner of this video. Kindly watch them before you get to this part. Alright, so today we'll be looking at pushing to GitHub and deploying to render. Now, if you don't have Git installed in your system, I'm going to put a link in the top right corner of this video for a video for you to watch on installing Git and setting up GitHub on your system, on your machine, before you come back to watch it. So if you don't have Git installed, if you're just new, you don't have anything installed Git on your system, please watch the video in the top right corner before you proceed, because I'm not going to explain setting up Git itself. So I'm moving directly to GitHub and deployment to render.com. So if you are ready, then let's deploy this application and have it go live. Let's get straight to the video.
For us to deploy our application, we are going to deploy it to render.com. Initially, we would have deployed on Heroku, but due to Heroku policy, currently we are going to deploy it on render.com. So if I go to this particular page, it's very nice, very easy, and very fast. But I'm going to show you how we're going to deploy. We are going to deploy from GitHub. We'll just move our application from GitHub over to this side with some configurations. So let's go back to our application and set it up for deployment. So first of all, let's go into our env and let's go back here. Let's create a simple file. Let's call it sample.env. So this will be for maybe someone else wants to use this and they want to see the variables that they need to create. Alright, so we now have a file called sample.env, which is simply going to be what a user will see as what is in our environment variable that they can see. Now let's go back to our git ignore. Let's add some couple of ignores. So let me just add a comment that says node_modules. So we are ignoring that, and we are ignoring everything in the build folder. I'm going to say ignore everything build, ignore build, and then I have a comment here that says environment. So I want to ignore everything environment variable. So I've updated my git ignore. I've added a sample env. I think I have everything now that I need to ignore. I also want to ignore everything that has to do with that has a JavaScript. So I'm going to extension. So I'm going to say everything that has .js. So even if perhaps I built my file and I have a JavaScript down here like this one, I don't want it to be tracked by Git. So I will delete that, but I will add that there to avoid it being
What's going on?
So to avoid it being tracked. So anything that has an extension of .js, I don't want it to be tracked by Git. Alright, so now that we have added this thing up, you might perhaps want to do some kind of in-house cleanup, but for now I think we are fine. So let me just close it up. Let me take a look at our TypeScript, our Node application. So go to source/index. Yeah, you could add some packages. For example, you could add compression to compress this application. So you can install compression and call it here. You can also add helmet and also add a rate limiter to how much time somebody can keep calling this in a second, in a minute. But I'm not going to do all that. You can do all that for yourself. I just want to show you how we are going to deploy this application. So how are we going to deploy this application? You are going to go to github.com. If you don't have a GitHub account already, just go to get to github.com and you click on sign up. If you are new, you would be required to fill in some information by GitHub. So just sign up to GitHub, your email address. Once you fill them, you keep going, you keep going. Once you are done with that, just come back here and let's sign up. So once you are done with signing up, you just click on sign in, and then they'll ask for your email and your email or your username and then your password. So I'm going to sign in. So right now I'm signed in on GitHub, and then if you have this particular page, you can just click on new. So I'm going to click on new to create a new package. So I'm going to call it, let us say, Node-mailer. Now, even though this is not what I'll be deploying, but let's, for newcomers, to put it like this. Now you can add a description. Let me add a description: send email using Node.js. Now I'm going to leave it as public. You can leave yours. You can put it, if you put it public, anyone can see it. If you put it private, only you and the people that you add. And ignore every other thing here for now and just click on create repository. And then you have few commands that you will run. Ignore this one for now. We are not going to add any readme. So we are going to say git init, and we are going to just follow what I do. Some of the things here we might not be using it. I am back here in my terminal. So open up your terminal and let's deal with this. So what we are going to do is we are going to say git init. We are starting with that. Say git init and hit enter. So this will initialize a git file. You will have it here. It's mostly hidden all the time. Now we have a git init. We are going to say git add. We want to add everything that is not ignored by the git ignore. If you want to see, you can simply say git status, and this shows you. So these are the things that we are going to add by the time we say git add all. Period simply means all. So we say git add all. So this simply adds everything, and if I say git status again, their color will change to green, simply showing that they have all been added. So now we are going to add a commit message. So git commit -m, which simply means I want to type the message, and we are going to say initial commit. So that's our first commit, initial commit. Now we have done this, you can either type or you just go back here. For me, I will prefer to just go here, and then I will just copy git branch -m main, or you can just type it out yourself. Let me clear and say git branch -m main. So I want to switch. Once I run this will switch from master to main, and then now becomes main. Then I can go back and copy this one. It's a bit long, and I want to add this my local git to my remote repository. So I'm going to say git remote add origin. Then this is my URL for that. So I'm going to say enter, and that adds that. Now, what the next thing I'm going to write is a command to push my project to GitHub. Push -u origin main. So this will push it to my remote repository. All right. So now that we have our project pushed up to GitHub, let's check GitHub now. So if I refresh this page, I now have all my project files. They have all been pushed here to this particular place now. Now that we have this, we now need to go to render so that we can be able to deploy this application straight off from GitHub. So we are here on render.com. You will click on get started. So that will take you to register. You can see sign up for render. You can use GitHub, you can use GitLab, you can use Google, you can use your password, your email and password as usual. For this, I'm going to use GitHub. So I would advise you just use GitHub so that we are on the same page. If you're hosting on GitLab, you can use GitLab. So, but I'm going to use GitHub because I'll just pull my code from GitHub. So I'll click on with GitHub and it's going to authenticate me. It's going to ask for my login details. So if I pass in my login details to GitHub, so GitHub is going to send me a verification token to verify me. And then once you pass in those verification token, you'll be redirected back to render. So once you are done with that, you can now click on sign in, or maybe you're automatically signed in. You can now click on sign in. So I want to sign in now. And I'm going to click on sign in with GitHub. So I also need to authenticate again, like I mentioned earlier. So I click on sign in. And GitHub still sends me a verification token to confirm that maybe I'm the one. So I'm going to check the email you are using with GitHub 06126. I hope this works. Okay, so that works. Now, once you are here, once you find yourself here, you are already logged into render.com. Get started in minutes. You have static site, web services, private services, background workers, and so many more. You are going to click on web service. That is what our node application is a web service. So click on web service. Then it's pulling up my repositories from GitHub. And I want it to be on my node email I sender. So you have to choose yours and with the name that you gave it. So I'm going to click on connect. Now, once this has connected, it's going to ask me for a name. I'm just going to call it node email sender. I will leave this region. You can choose whatever you like. My branch is, I want to be deployed on main. So I have about 4 branches. I'll pick main. So once it's going to deploy what is in main. Now for the root, I'm just going to leave it. Just leave it like this, unless you have a different setup. So just leave it. The environment is node. Our build command, what we want to do is that when we want to build, we want to first of all install. Because if we just build, render is going to throw an error for us that it cannot find maybe ES build. All those are our installation. It can't find them. So we want to first of all say yarn install. So which we simply install all the packages that we have in our package.json, and then we will then run yarn build. Now once yarn is ready to go, what is our start command? Our start command is yarn start. So we'll say yarn start, which is our start command. If you remember our package.json. So with this setup now, we are ready to go. So simply give it a name, leave the root directory alone. Have this to be yarn to allow it to install yarn install and yarn build, then yarn start, which is our start command. And then you will just leave this as it is on the free plan, which gives you 512 MB, share CPU $0 per month. And then you go down and click on create web service. Create web service. So if I click on that, so render is going to do its thing. Now it is in deployment. You can see your deployment going on here. Is cloning from GitHub. Is installing. So it's running yarn install and build, which is the build command we gave it. It's trying to build our application. All right. Now my build has finished and it's trying to start my application. Now, if you just like mine, you might get this error. It's trying to start it again. It's trying to start, but it's obviously going to fail. So let me go back again. It's going to keep trying to start server, and now the reason why we are getting that error is simply because we need to pass in environment variables. So if you go to render, you click on environment, because all those places we are writing process.env, render is unable to read anything from there. So let's click on add environment variable. So we are going to say the first one, say mail underscore from, and we pass in the email you use to register on Zoho Zoho Mail. So you click on Save Changes. Then you click on Add Environment Variable again. So mail underscore host smtp.zoho.com. Then we say mail underscore pass. You pass that there. You pass the key that you got from Zoho. I think this should be user actually, not mail underscore from. This is user, mail user. And then we have port, mail underscore ports, which is 465. So I think this is all we need, and we click Save Changes. Now that we have all this ready, let's go back here and click on Manual Deploy, and let's say Clear Build Cache and Deploy. So this will just redeploy our application again. Now that we have added our environment variables. So we have started again trying to deploy the application.
Deployment is ready. So if you see now, it says server listening on port 10,000, server is ready to take messages. So which simply means that our environment variables are now being used by render, and as I was, there's no more error being thrown. So initially, when we have not passed our environment variable, there were errors being thrown, but now there are no more errors. So our server is up. Let's take a look. If you go to the top, you see our server URL. So I'm going to click on it, and our server is loading up, and very easy like that, we are live. So let's test the sending functionality. It says tomorrow is New Year, so let me say Happy New Year, New Year, and then let me send it to myself again. So I'm just going to say Happy New Year to myself. Happy New Year in advance. All right, so let me send, and it says sending, and it says email sent. So everything is working fine. All right then. So we have come to the end of this particular project. I hope you learned what you came here to learn. If you do a lot of Node.js and React, consider subscribing to the channel. I will see you in the next video.